Well, good evening or good Tuesday to everybody. It's 9 o'clock here on the East Coast. This is your host, Sergeant Friday of Your Ass Hurts News Network. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. How the hell are all of you? We got a few people that jumped in right away. I don't know what's going on around the internet today too much. I actually went back to work for the grueling 2 hours of time. And I survived. So yeah, all having problems with StreamYard here though. Let me put a hi down here in the chat. StreamYard's being a little weird today. I don't know why. I could put that show to comments. Let's see if it shows them. And we'll wait for a few people to just get their asses in here. I see now, I understand Heather's got multiple personalities, which doesn't come as a shock to me based on watching her videos. I mean, like, of course she does. Poor Steve is on Facebook again. He's a crying. Boo-hoo, boo-hoo, boo-hoo. I want that man murdered. What the hell is going on with that guy? Welcome to you on X, YouTube, and Rumble, who performs worse than any of the platforms, as far as I can tell. And it's probably, I mean, you might as well just, it's probably something I'm not doing or something I'm doing that's not working, but with a resounding 42 followers. Holy Christ, Rumble. Rumble is, yeah, it's a drag. It's not a drag net, just a drag. Poor Rumble. I have to move them all the way to the furthest part of my page. Whoop, there we go. So how is everyone tonight? Now that we're kicking up, we got 22 live individuals in here. 22, woo. Oh, on my keyboard. I bought a new core keyboard, but I didn't hook it up yet. And my O and my letter L are bunked. I don't know what the hell, why my keyboard would have failed like that, but it has. And once again, I remind people that this is Your Ass Hurts News Network. And of course, anybody that's in the topic is going to end up with a hurt ass. That's the whole point of the fucking show. We are not specifically media, nor are we not media. We're not specifically, I don't know. I don't know what the hell we're doing here. But I did catch on my feed on Facebook that Steve is out there talking smack again. He just can't find a way. He just can't shut the fuck up and let the process be the process and let the process speak for itself. That's the whole point. If in fact the process, while speaking for itself, shows the guilt of Brian Christopher Koberger, hi Joanne, so be it. But look, you can have marbles in your head, literal marbles, right? And really, if you sit back with those marbles and you look at what's going on, everything is character assassination of Brian Koberger. This fucking guy, a selfie, and he's guilty. A selfie of his thumb up in the mirror. I mean, he looks anemic. He looks like one good slap would send that guy scurrying for cover, yelling for his mama. Yet this guy overpowered Ethan. He overpowered Ethan, was able to take him out with a single swipe of the knife, and then pummel and pound and just tear other people apart in that house. All by himself, that kid did it. And, of course, it was exhausting. He had to sit down in a chair. It was, it was a tough night for Brian Koberger. But, that's what Steve will have everybody. That's what he wants everybody to think. That's what he wants everybody to believe. It's quite fucking sad. And in spite of the fact that everything Steve has told us has been an absolute fucking lie. There's nothing Steve Gonzalez has yet to say that's been a truth other than keep reminding us that they're holding this guy in jail for 2.5+ years. And Steve is, he's the main antagonizer. Quick to the draw. Can't wait to tell people the only reason Hunter was called was, they couldn't open the door. Zaina's door was blocked, apparently by one of the deceased. so says Steve. And they needed Hunter's muscle to open that door, says Steve. You know, I mean, what a fucking crackpot. Fucking jerk off. Everything he said has been inaccurate and, in fact, a perpetuated lie upon the public that has to sit in judgment of this guy, along with his media friends and his fucking YouTube losers like the drunk fucking, I don't even know what the fuck that is, the drunk fucking canary. It's got to be a drunk canary because he just repeats what's said on the mainstream media. Oh, my God. Well, apparently the murderer come up for air had to sit down in a chair in Zaina's room. Left ass prints on the chair. Good old Steve, right? Everything he's told, not anything he's ever told has turned out to be true. And then he tries to play it off. He knows everything he's told the public is a fucking lie. And then he plays it all off. And you guys got to wait till you see the totality of everything. Well, based on the totality of everything you've said, I expect more lies, more circumstantial, exaggerated, happy fucking horseshit that only people that fucking, I think mainly people that vote Democrat can get along with. The fucking character assassinations, fucking twits. Unbelievable. You just had a Congress vote against all of the cuts of waste, fraud, waste, and abuse. They're not supporting it. And that includes Republican twits. Wait a second. We have a phone call from Cletus. Bear with me. You may end up hearing my side of the conversation. Cletus! What are you doing, Cletus?
Toothless bitch on TV, fucking holler.
Fat, toothless bitch on television holler. Well, I just, I haven't heard from you in a while. I figured, I called you before the stream, see if I could drag your fucking ass up here, but now you're on the cell phone. But the stream is live. It's rolling.
Oh.
I'm in here just talking smack about Steve Gonzalez. The twit fucking master of all things. But, we're open to any topic, any new information, any humor, anything like that. I mean, jump into the stream and the link is in there. All right. I'm putting it in there again. Yep. All right. All right. So listen to that, folks. We may get a Cletus in here. We may not. Someone's wearing a black hoodie. Well, you must have killed 4 people that we don't know yet. There, hoodie wearer. Good evening there to who's that? Moto Mama. I don't know how to say the name. I missed the part about the chair. What's the story on that? Well, the story is that the murderer sat down in a chair in Zaina's room. Left bloodstains from his ass on the chair. That's apparently documented. I mean, it's not, from my understanding, that's truth. But how is it that Steve can fucking live with himself? What is he doing? What is he trying to hide? He's got to know something. And he'd rather it not be public. There's something going on here with this guy. And the fact of the matter is that he can't be that stupid to realize that everything he's told us is wrong. I mean, honestly, everything he's told us is a lie. He led us to believe there was a direct electronic connection between Brian Koberger and that house. Complete fucking lie. Complete, total fucking lie. He led us to believe the first thing Hunter did was force the door open to try to see if Zaina and Ethan were okay. Complete fucking lie. The door was wide open. So wide open and so well lit that at fucking 4 something in the morning, Dylan Mortensen could look down that fucking hallway and identify Zaina. Head towards the wall, feet towards the door. Huh. What about that one there, Stevie? Huh? How about the fucking images of the car? Somehow you want us to believe that the perpetrator or traitors used a vehicle to get to this house. You're fucking full of shit. So are the fucking police. So are the fucking prosecutors. So are the FBI. That's a bunch of fucking happy horseshit. There was no car used here. And if there was, it wasn't some little white fucking economy fucking Hyundai. Ain't no one that owns a fucking Hyundai Elantra a fucking top criminal. I mean, what the fuck? That's like a fucking budget car for people that are trying to fucking get through life because they don't have much money. Hyundai. Hyundai, go get that. Hyundai. And you too could be a serial killer, according to Steve Gonzalez. This fucking douchebag. Him and his buddy Daniel and these fucking twits on the fucking media talking all that fucking shit. And admitting along the way, except Steve won't do this, that it's circumstantial. These are circumstantial arguments. Oh. Yeah, he paid the debt. They didn't have to go up the stairs. Then the argument comes out the target was Maddie. Well, Maddie lived upstairs, Steve. No, I don't drink, Motomanic. I don't drink at all. I'm not a drugger or a drinker. I love life. Got a great life. I need for nothing. And you know, I don't know. You know, so that's probably why I fuck around on the internet. That's why my station's called Your Ass Hurts News Network. Right? Because a lot of people need their ass to hurt before maybe they'll fucking wake up. Maybe they need somebody's boot up it. Something. Whatever's in it, you got to pull it out. Usually it's their head. And usually people like Steve, you can't even tell a guy like that to go fuck himself because his head is so deep in his ass, there's no room for a dick. It's just the way it is. Carl Ferguson. What are you doing, Carl? I mean, it's hilarious what this guy has done. And the way he's behaved and the stories he's told us. Oh, everybody's focusing on that transfer DNA, but believe me, when I tell you there's a lot more, you'll see. There's a lot more coming. Yeah, sure there is, Steve. Probably the DNA that proves multiple perpetrators committed this crime. Man. There has to be a reason. I agree. There has to be a reason he's trying to tank this case. What up, Clue? Yep, that was my help desk, my health desk. It was all kinds of desks, the Clue, but I don't have that support anymore. I got to depend on these third world fucking people that I pay 67 cents an hour. It's brutal, I tell you, brutal. I mean, you know, yeah. So anybody can they can jump on the stream. I can even go to a call-in stream if need be. What else do we got to say? So let me think. Name a few things in the chat. Wait a minute, folks. Hang on. We have breaking news. Cletus has rejoined the stream after a hiatus of 858,000 years. Cletus.
Go fuck yourself.
I'm good at doing that in case anybody wonders.
That's why you lean to one side when you walk. It's not because you have a limp. It's because one fucking arm's 8 times bigger.
One nut's still stuck in the crack. It just makes me walk funny. Oh, I got crackling nuts over here. Yeah, I make Rice Krispies look fucking nothing. Anyway, look, Miss W is happy to see you. Carl Ferguson, he likes everybody.
Yeah, Carl's easy to get along with.
Carl is, even though he is queen. He what happened to his little banner? I had a special banner for him. I think I may have deleted it. I think I did. I think I ejected him as queen of the 5.63 billion morons out there.
What the fuck, Carl? How did you lose your title?
You know, he was hitting on all the women in the chat room. You know, Sarge can't have that. That's my territory. Oh my God! So I just reviewing all the lies that we've been told by fucking Steve Gonzalez, and how they took his Facebook pages down.
Yeah,
how the court's furious of all these leaks. And what makes these leaks so bad, Cletus?
What's that?
None of them are admissible in a trial. So this is collected information that the prosecution has put their hands on, but none of it could have been brought up in court because none of it connects to the crime. None of it's criminal. None of it has any similarity to the crime. He just picked up a girl, traded phone numbers. That's it. He posted a picture of himself in a mirror with his thumb up. What's that got to? So my point is, they've taken information that isn't evidentiary based for a trial, and they've used that where they couldn't use it. In other words, because they couldn't use it in the trial, they turned it out on the public and defined these images.
But I think ultimately it's a mind fuck, right? Because it's a publicity stunt to draw attention to an episode of Dateline or whatever the hell it is that tries to paint him out to undoubtedly be the guilty party. It's one of the reasons why I'm at the point where I'm like, I think the government should be held accountable, but I don't think the public is responsible or mature enough anymore to handle the information that the the system has until the trial. Because there's no way you can tell me that what's been put out there will not influence a jury. It's not fucking possible. I refuse to fucking believe that. You're
How
not
could
going
you
to dig.
not?
You're not going to
Yeah.
dig 12 people out from under a fucking rock that have had no internet or television for the past 3 years and say this is the guy we think did it. Here's the evidence we have against him. That's not going to happen. So I mean, at this point, I'm just like, yeah, y'all should just not say it.
Who's that guy that was sending out all those mail bombs and shit? The Unabomber? What was that guy's name? Kaczynski or something? You need 12 people like him. Completely disconnected from society, living in a fucking broken down old cabin in the woods. And the only ties he had to society were when he was going to get equipment for his bombs.
But society even fucked him up enough to go do what he did. You know what I mean? Like even being disconnected from it, he was still fucked up enough by it to have a stance, and that's crazy.
Man, it's crazy. And then you're right. The internet, you got the Daniels, you got all these people out here that argue on talk about innocent or guilt. Meanwhile, the real crime is the way our government handles our law enforcement in this country. None of it's constitutional.
The real crime is how we fucking handle each other and why we do, and the reasons for our fucking purposeful misleading of the rest of the fucking flock. It's crazy.
I try not to mislead people. I try to stick to just the facts. And I don't know. Maybe I'm not exactly perfect in that, but listen, I think one turn deserves another. And if you're going to be the representation of the fucking families or even your own family, and you're going to come out here and you're going to perpetuate these lies against somebody that's the accused, that nobody knows his innocence or guilt except him. And he certainly hasn't come forward and confessed. So you have to respect that. And nowhere in this country is it ever respected. I mean, look at what they did with the current president in all of those cases. They're all being dropped, overturned. They give him back his $500 million, blah, blah, blah. But the point is, he was convicted in the voice of public opinion in areas that had a natural hate for him because they were trained to hate the guy. People are a bunch of fucking sheep. It's incredible, bro. And the same thing happening with Kohlberger. He's the enemy of the world for some reason. And yet there isn't a single solitary piece of evidence placing him at that home ever, including the day of the crime, the night of the crime, and any time after the crime or prior to the crime. There's just nothing to connect the kid to that house. So how can you even accept that the DNA sample is his? You just, and then they're going to hide that from the jury, how they played games with a microscopic skin cell and ignored all the blood samples.
Yeah,
that makes sense. I'm just confused, and I'm in a sense, I want a guilty party executed for this. I think that's fair, right? And I for but goddamn, I certainly would like to see some factual basis. Well, look what they've done you guys cover a lot of the missing children and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And how quickly people just decide who's guilty and just start destroying them. That's gotta stop.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I don't have any qualms with somebody forming an opinion based on the facts. And if that's their opinion, that's their opinion, and continue to evaluate the facts that come out, but fairly evaluate real facts. You know what I mean? Like these two kids in Canada, we haven't even really followed it in a week or so because at the end of the day, the Canadian law is a lot different than American law, and what comes out from Canada cases is way less than what it is in cases in the U.S. And it's like everything is just fucking wackadoodle bullshit.
See, in the U.S., I don't object to official documentation concerning the case to be fed to the public, but not fed to the public in a way to create a narrative as they've done here.
Yeah, but the problem is, I think any information ultimately creates a narrative, and the narrative is controlled by the most powerful voice. And unfortunately, the people that should be the voice never give a fuck enough to form one. They just get one put in for them by the propagandists. They could have put out a PCA that absolutely nailed Koberger to the fucking wall. If mainstream media had said he was innocent, the world would have believed he was innocent and would have demanded him to be free. And I mean, at the end, that's why I say at the end of the day, I just think it needs to be silenced and let people fucking reset from this bullshit.
Wow.
If people could get fucking grounded again and realize
You need to be able to, this is where I think you and I disagree. You as a citizen need to be able to evaluate government officials regardless of where they reside. And you can't do that if everything is secret, and then you're going to have prosecutions and not know shit. See, there is value to having an open book on all of this stuff. But the problem is that the narrative is then that narrative should be freely expelled to the public. If everything we know now was delivered to us in the proper order from the very beginning, many people's views would be questioning the actions of the government rather than arguing about he did it, he didn't do it. That's his car, this isn't his car. There's so much information we now have. For instance, how about the kid that broke into a home in September of 2021 with a knife to kill a girl, and she kicked him in the stomach and he ran out, witnessed by 2 other people. We didn't know that for more than 2 years into the Koberger case.
But let me explain where I come from with even that, right? Stepping back from that and from cases in general, really, right? So like I've just been participating in her kicking the shit out of some people that are on her line to folks for the past 2 or 3 months. But stepping back from the actual cases and thinking about it, it's pretty clear to me that all that did, in all fairness, all that did is created another fucking rabbit hole for people to chase. And at the end of the day, all that's doing is entertaining us and occupying our time. All we should really give a fuck about, get to the trial, prosecute, and have a pool of citizens evaluate that the entire case at that point somehow. Because we have programmed ourselves to consume everything that's fucking handed out to us and speculate on it. And that's fucking crazy. We waste our entire fucking day, our entire lives speculating on shit that's spoon-fed to us. And for what?
That's exactly why I say people don't think, they believe, and then they banter back and forth on that belief. But the information should be available to people, but people need to be they need to be understanding that your view should not be the suspect nor the victims. In honor of them, you're supposed to look at the process and make sure that the process affords the right to a fair trial. Not what we see going on across the country with any case that's propagandized like this. Every single time we've seen that, they've all turned out to be wrong. Because they are wrong. They shouldn't be prosecuting somebody like Koberger. They shouldn't have prosecuted Trump. They shouldn't have prosecuted many, many people that were prosecuted. And they do it by poisoning the fucking public.
Well, and I'll give you an example, right? This Jack and Lily Sullivan case out of Canada. Compare that case with Sebastian Rogers. There's a group of people that immediately think that the mom and stepdad had something to do with it, right? Or the stepdad's brother and mom or whatever. There's people that think that the children were abducted. There are people that think that the children walked off into the woods. Nobody fucking knows, but the amount of propaganda people have been able to feed from with that has been very minimal. And I firmly believe, based on conversations we've had, that's because of the way Canada laws about privacy and things like that are handled. Versus you go and look at Sebastian Rogers' case, if any of the parents were arrested today, 100% conviction, no question about it. It wouldn't matter who the fuck it was. If one of the 3 parents were arrested, they're going down for it. It wouldn't make a shit what was presented. And I think that's a dangerous damn thing. And I look at that and I go, maybe Canada's got it figured out a little better than we do when it comes to that.
Well, no, but again, it goes right back to, You got to connect that to the point I'm making about people believing. They don't deal with data on a data basis. They deal with it based on their feelings, their emotions, their past experiences, or the group or the herd.
I
Okay?
agree, but then the question it's the chicken or the egg thing, right? Can
No.
you well hold on, let me explain what I mean. Can you fix people without showing them the fucking way?
No, they need to be shown the way. And that's one of the reasons I think, and I support Trump going after the Department of Education on the federal level. They weren't teaching kids how to think. They were teaching kids how to view the world, society, social issues. It shouldn't be taught in school. That's taught at home. Leave it the fuck alone. Get on to math, get on to science, learn to think, get both sides of the fucking story, right? Find out what really caused World War II. It wasn't the point to go slaughter Jews. That wasn't even in his mind. That's not why he started the war. So my point is that we've been taken away from thinking. And we've been given these ideas and these opinions, and then we banter back and forth over the opinion. That's why Steve Gonzalez, why I want to hammer him. He's got no business doing what he's doing. He's the fucking father of a deceased who claims to have hired detectives and has talked with the police. And he uses that to support his lies that he keeps coming forward with. And I call them lies. They're not mistakes. They're not misinformation. They're out and out lies.
I mean,
Now,
go
ahead.
You got the exact same thing in Sebastian's case. You got the biological father has an entire petition written on fucking lies, and he has 19,000 signatures on it. It's the exact same thing. He's emotionally driven at a minimum if he's not fucking guilty, and he's got 19,000 people brainwashed emotionally to fucking support him, when the fact of the matter is they need to just calm the fuck down and think about it rationally and logically instead of listening to the emotional pleas of this one man. And that's exactly.
Are you talking about in the Sebastian case, you mean?
Yeah.
Or in the other case, yeah.
In the Sebastian, I'm just saying, you've got an emotional father in both situations that, of course, a lot of people's hearts are going to, feel for. And I get that, but you can't rationalize based on emotion. And that's what I think a lot of people do. And I think that's what we're programmed to fucking do.
And that's exactly right. We are programmed to do that. And that's where our educational system has failed us. And that's where we as people have failed. To me, the interesting part of these cases isn't the accused or the victims, although both are tragic, but it's how we've come to those understandings and how we execute showing each other the truth. And that's not part of our justice system anymore. And that's because too many people want to get into the bullshit, and guys like Steve and Seth and others, they make this crusade. They've decided he's guilty, and you have that right to make that decision. But don't tell me that there's nothing wrong with the rest of the fucking picture here. Don't tell me that he connected to the internet. Don't tell me there's more DNA that's going to connect Brian, when none of that is true.
Yeah.
And you're saying it in a vacuum where the data that they have now released, Cletus, is important information. The 911 phone call, the interviews with Dylan, different statements that were made that are relevant here, that are documented facts. If those were given out in the beginning, people would have been a lot slower to choose a side. And there would have been so in other words, it's not just the people, it's the people in control of the data and how they release it, when they release it, and the narrative they create with it, rather than just letting people see this is what we have. And just shut the fuck up. This is what I got. But
here's my problem, right? I think if you change the system to where that was done, it wouldn't have the impact that you're thinking it would for a long
time. Over time, it would.
Oh, over time, I agree. But it would take the other piece of that changing as well. I think both things have to happen in conjunction. And that's where my head is at. Is it a quicker path to fixing it by cutting the source of the propaganda off to where people realize how fucking far astray we've gone?
Well, a lot of the media could help this though too. So, for instance, in the Koberger case, if you're gonna put happy horse shit out about Brian, rather than do that, maybe you should take the information that's released, that's documented and verifiable, and look at both sides of the coin as to what that may or may not mean. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So when Bethany says that Hunter goes up into the house and he runs to the kitchen to get a knife, Whoa, 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 whoa. You're told me and you're telling everybody, the whole world, that you had a passed out roommate. What prompted Hunter to run to the kitchen to grab a knife? Dylan, what'd you tell Hunter that you're not telling us, Dylan? Those questions are sensible questions. And yet we weren't given that data until just recently. Why wasn't that shit released early on? Why do they have to keep all of that a secret? And they did that to paint the narrative to support the state's argument that they got the right guy. Now, they may have the right guy, Cletus, so I'm not arguing that they don't. But when you put the pieces in order, when you put them in a timeline, you can make it, you can look at, no, they don't got the right guy. Not based on this. Still doesn't mean Kohlberger didn't do it. But based on this data, there's nothing in there that makes a conclusion that he could be the only guy in that house.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. It's not, and people are okay with that. They don't, like, I'm really pissed off that this data was held back. This data makes a big difference. It explains the 8 hours in a way that makes it even worse than people's worst dreams. I mean, we were led to believe that they went to sleep and didn't do anything. That's totally fucking not true. They never went to sleep once. They were on the phones. She's walked through the house. She saw the body in the fucking room. You can make that distinctive of a difference where the head and the feet are located, but not notice that the woman's bled out or there's blood all over the floor. How many lights were on in the house? Well, I don't remember. How could you not remember? If you could look down a 14 or 15 foot hallway and see somebody laying on the fucking floor like that. Right. So my point is that the government themselves, the officials that we've elected or that have been appointed, play this mind game because they know the American people have been programmed, and at least half of us are predispositioned to follow that narrative, right?
Yeah.
And they told you Trump was connected to Putin. Half of America, 40-something%, high 40s, immediately accepted it. Why? Because somebody in the fucking internet or the YouTube or fucking the news channel told them that's what this shit means.
Well, and the reality is there's a lot of people that still believe that because it wasn't publicized as heavily that it was proven to be bullshit. You know what I mean?
Right. The other side, the truth never, that's what I mean. The fucking lie circles the globe an infinite amount of times, and the truth, if it even gets to circle the globe, is a wisp.
Yeah.
The lie is a hurricane circling this globe, and the truth is a whisper, if it even gets that. And that's why I think paying attention to the process and the people that manage the process is all true crime should focus on. Of course, you want to have empathy and sympathy and respect for those that are victims of the crime. Okay. And you can have the other emotions for those that are the perpetrators of the crime. Fair enough. But don't let those emotions interfere with the data that's available for you to review. And those that give the data, they need a good fucking slap. They should be fired, all of them, from all these news stations. They're not reporters. They're storytellers. And last I heard, I don't know, but the whole point of freedom of the press is to speak truth to power, not take power's fucking statements and start reverberating them and imitating them and sharing them. You're not supposed to take sides. That's how wasn't that the reason why we have the free press?
Yeah.
Yeah, and these jerk offs have helped educate people to become fucking morons. Don't think about anything. Just look at this picture of Brian in the mirror. Oh, look, Brian has on a hoodie. Oh my God, Brian talked to a girl. and then they define what that's supposed to mean. But then when you read the documents and you find out that was a beautiful interaction with a woman, met her at a pool party, traded phone numbers, waited a day or two, texted her to see if she was interested in hiking, and she never replied, and he never contacted her again. What could be more normal than that, Cletus?
Yeah.
I mean, how many women would enjoy if men were that, okay, you're not interested, I'm not going to bother you anymore, right? Fuck, how many court cases are about guys that just won't shut the fuck up or leave them alone, stalking them, texting them, following them, going to...
That was the thing that I remember about that. I guess it was Dateline that really blew me away was, one of the points they were trying to make about Kohlberger was that he had been viewing women or college students' social media profiles on his phone or laptop or whatever. And I'm like, and they're like, you know, sitting there making that, like there were literally people going, "Oh my God, see, he's a creep." And I'm sitting here thinking about that, and I'm like, this guy's 28, he's single, he's living in 2 college towns. Why is that so astonishing to people? But yet these same people will look at the father of a missing child that has been documented to show his perversions into inappropriate age groups, and nobody gives a fuck. And I'm like, how is that double standard?
What case is that?
Sebastian's.
So which father has got that levied against him?
Seth,
Has he had inappropriate?
I don't know about inappropriate. I'm just saying, like in terms of his interests, right, and what some would consider inappropriate age groups. It's known, and I'm just like, I don't understand how there is such a double standard because one guy's behind bars and one guy isn't. You know what I mean? It's like the world has automatically painted Koberger as the bad guy and Seth as a good guy, but they share when there are similarities between them, they just go unfucking noticed. No, you know, it's such a double standard. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's because the 5.63 billion morons out here take people like Steve and run with them because they think Steve is the guy that needs to be, you know, looked up to and respected and feel pity and sad for him. You know, look, you can have all the emotions you want for a guy like Steve, but what he's doing is the most egregious fucking thing you could do against any accused. This is not the fucking 1600s with the Salem witch hunts. Yet that's exactly what happens on this fucking internet. It's always a Salem witch hunt out here.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I was listening to some harsh talking that I don't know why he hooked up with JB Gunner, but so be it. But JB Gunner giving you these understandings what the 8 hours mean. The 8 hours explains themselves instantly the minute you know Hunter ran to the kitchen for a knife. That tells you all you need to know. There's nothing else you need to fucking wonder about because something was said to him that prompted him to feel as if he needed to be prepared and defend himself. It was not that Zana was passed out on the bedroom floor. That's not what Hunter was told. So that tells you all you need to know. She's lying. She knows way more than she's told the fucking public, the police, or anyone else. And for anyone like that in her shoes, and for people to have that documentation in their possession and not fucking charge her or arrest her or do something, you fucking people are paid to do your job. It's got nothing to do with gender. It's got nothing to do with how pretty or ugly you are, how fat or how skinny you are. This woman's fucking statements are so back-ass, inconsistent, and deceitful that you have to make her a fucking suspect. Meanwhile, the guy you got in jail has never changed this fucking story, not even close to once. It's the same story the whole time. People want to ridicule him. Oh, he was star watching. Who does that? Well, a lot of people do that. How many people run around with high horsepower cars? More than you think, but less than you know. So you don't think it's common? And so you're right. And so all of that nonsense gets piled onto this guy's lap. And I don't know Koberger from anybody. I mean, we talk on here. I don't know you, right? Yeah, you know, so again, you can't determine guilt or innocence because a parent or because a media outlet or other YouTubers are trying to tell you how to think. That's the egregious sin here. You're not thinking. You're being told what to think. Seth has done that through this whole process, right?
Mm-hmm.
And can you imagine that fat bastard trying to tell people how to think? You would think somebody, just his mannerisms and his behaviors and his fucking house with OSB for a floor and his broken down fucking chairs and the guys he associates with. If that doesn't tell you, you don't want him to tell you how to think. I don't know what the fuck does. What more do you need to see? Right?
Yeah.
I don't want him telling me how. If I'm going to listen to someone tell me to think, I might listen to the other father, the stepfather, who's participating in life, who has a clear alibi. He was nowhere near the home when this happened, who happens to be in a high fucking paying, high risk job, who's, you know, I'm sure has faults, but what I'm saying is if someone had to tell me to think and I had to pick from one of them two, it wouldn't be the fat bastard. I promise you that.
Right.
Right. I mean, people don't even know how to pick who they're going to fucking let think for them because they're too stupid. They think that they're thinking. And this is what drives me nuts. Like someone was they commented the other day, oh, I listen to Tommy Jude. He's got a lot of good information. Get the fuck out of my comment section.
I'm sure they got a tongue lashing
Listen,
like none other.
Lou reminded me of just how evil women can be. And I don't see all women as evil, but I do know, and I'm glad she made that point, that women get a pass to which men won't get. She's right. I mean, she was thinking for me in the sense that, she pointed out what's an actual fact of life, that most men, because you're pretty, don't really catch unless their shit's being heaped in your own lap. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this guy Steve has really got me on to my last nerve. I just think they shut him down. There was a private hearing that they were a part of, and the same day that hearing came forward, the Gonzalez's took their Facebook pages down, and everybody's trying to make these excuses as to why. But how much of a coincidence is it that not only on the day they fucking have a hearing where the Gonzalez's are involved, the Facebook page comes down, the judge is going fucking crazy over the leaks and all the news media leaks and all the news stories about destroying Brian Kohlberger. And he wants to get to the bottom and find out who did it. He wants names. All of that happens all at once. And suddenly his Facebook, but I guarantee that Facebook, Thomas, is going to be moderated differently.
So wait a minute. I thought, so he took it down? I thought Facebook took it down.
That's what I mean. We don't know who took it down.
Okay.
But listen, you can't have all of them leaks and all of his stories and all of that shit happening all in the same session and all in the same time period, and his Facebook come down and then say, well, he violated their terms of service. Really? How many coincidences do you need? Why did they have a secret Zoom meeting, or the court had an off-the-record meeting with the family and others? So my point is, you can't have it. And then, again, they come out with that bullshit. Oh, it was Facebook had a terms of service problem. Well, they should have had a terms of service problem fucking 2.5 years ago when they started going after Brian and wearing shirts. We support the death penalty. That shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah.
See? So I'm just saying it's tragic. See, Facebook took it down according to hate on it. Are you sure the court didn't order it down? How do you know the court didn't order this down, Thomas? You see, that's the catch-22. And everybody gives them a pass, but you're out there calling for the death of an individual. That shouldn't be allowed on any platform. Shouldn't be allowed on here. I can't run around doing shit like that, but somehow they pick and choose who they give these passes to when it comes to free speech. So anyway, what's new with you and Clue? You guys married yet?
No, not yet.
No? You got to buy her another fucking ring?
Considering the ads on her Google always come up with such, I would think maybe she's looking at a fifth, but
What the?
Yeah, I don't know. What the is right.
That shit is crazy, bro. Right?
Well,
but you got to do what you got to do, man. That's your woman.
She's just sitting here silent with a smirk on her face like, fuck y'all.
For real? Say it ain't so. You guys got your pool open?
Not yet.
I got to put a liner in mine. Mine's no longer a pool. It's a big round wall that holds no water.
Yeah. No, I was going to do it this weekend, just didn't. So
I'm going to try to get that liner in on Friday. Start filling it up. Get it situated for the last time because, after the next time there's a major calamity. Well, it's the only problem I've ever really had, but it's a serious problem when you got to place a liner. It's not, I patched it once or twice. So. But
yeah, we
had 1 years old, so I don't know.
We had one replaced 3 years ago. Yeah, 3 years ago this summer.
Was it expensive?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of water in that bitch.
Yeah, it's a big pool. Well, I'm gonna get my my foreskin to do it, and a helper. That's what I call my foreman. Especially when I introduce, like, the homeowner come out, and they'll say, "Oh, this is my foreskin, Junior." The guy goes, "What? I mean, foreman." Kind of funny. And what else? What else? Been ripping around the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the house pretty much. I got a couple rooms left, but all scoured down, ready to paint the ceiling. Got the paint all shook up, ready to go. And you know, you know those I've got a battery powered sprayer for weeds,
Mm-hmm.
because I've got a gravel backyard, and so weed seeds land in the gravel and germinate, and so to make time easy, I go out and spray it with Roundup, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's a long extension pipe. There's a trigger. I just rebuilt the trigger mechanism, all new seals, but it was leaking. Fixed it. But the pipe itself is leaking. That leads down to the spray end. It's like, how can a fucking steel pipe get holes in it? Pinholes. And it's shooting fucking Roundup everywhere, bro. I'm besides myself. Where the fuck do I buy one of them? Where do you find parts for a sprayer?
I think you just buy a new one.
Yeah.
Well, this is a $100 sprayer. I've had it for several years, but this thing is awesome. You just flip a button and you can go around for 8 hours spraying if you want.
Well,
I charge the battery once a season.
if you're going to be one of those guys that keeps everything, then you got to fucking be handy and fix it yourself, or you got to keep the fucking manual so you got the model number to look up replacement parts.
Sarge needs a new pipe, according to Ava. Sarge's pipe is leaking from places you just don't expect the pipe to leak. I mean, it's not like it's under pressure or and it's just a strange, man. And there's a bunch of little pinholes in that pipe. But you got to be fucking kidding me.
You would think a man with Alexa could learn how to say, "Hey, Google."
Google don't know where to send me.
Oh my God.
So, yeah. Here's what I was thinking, because folks, remember, I was poor as poor could be at one time. And I was thinking of go getting a sprayer and just changing out the fucking wand and then returning it. So the next guy can deal with it. He'll buy the return spray and bring it home, and he'll get hosed down with his chemical from the fucking pipe. But I can't do that. I know people have returned. They put their old saw in the box and return the box to fucking Home Depot.
I believe you just described an affair. She goes and picks up a new sprayer to exchange the wand and then returns it.
Yeah. Oh man, pretty much. Can I just tell you what happened last night? In such a matter-of-fact voice. Did you read all of it? Well, you guys did. And I know Clue thought maybe Dylan was okay because she mentioned Bethany, but I don't know. Hunter going to grab a knife after talking to Dylan sounds pretty serious to me.
That night or the next morning?
When he went up to check on the girl, on the victims, the first thing he did was ran to the kitchen and got a knife. That's one of Dylan Morton's statements. So what did Dylan Morton tell Hunter that prompted him to do that? Well, what the fuck do you need a knife for when you got a roommate passed out?
Did he go upstairs before he found Zana and Ethan?
He went in through the front door to the top of the staircase and then ran to the kitchen and grabbed a knife, and then they went and checked on Zana and Ethan. That's when they found him, and he told them to get out.
So he grabbed the knife, then went and checked on Zana and Ethan. So when did he go upstairs?
That morning before the police were called. Matter of fact, while the police...
well, when you say upstairs, you're talking about the main floor.
Second floor. The second floor. He went up to the second floor.
So nothing's come out where he went to the third floor then?
No, there's no news that he went to the third floor, but don't you find that to be problematic? The first act was to go grab a knife? Make that make sense, Cletus.
I mean, to me, it makes me raise my eyebrows even more at Dylan and Bethany. I mean, I'm not going to lie. If you were so fucking concerned, because the only way that makes sense to me is they told him somebody may be in the house. and his natural response is to grab a weapon before he goes.
But then why would
And-
you even
Hold
go?
on.
Okay. Oh, hurry
And
along
then,
that.
and then, you know, so he goes and grabs a weapon and then goes and checks and finds a situation, blah, blah, blah. But that would require a problem because why does he feel the need to go grab a weapon, but two girls stayed in the house the whole night and then tells him that story? So that doesn't work for me.
No, I don't think. I think if he thought that truly there was maybe still someone in there, he wouldn't have even gone the hell inside. That's stupid.
Now, was that because of what Dylan said, or did he have prior knowledge of something happening there? And when he was called, he came over and knew to be worried. So, there, I mean, in other words, you could set that up and really try to examine what does that mean? That action in and of itself is making a statement of something. He had prior knowledge or knew to expect there could be danger there.
Well,
I don't know.
it creates a huge problem for Dylan and Bethany because that implies that you had to have told him something
Other than
that creates an issue for why you sat there that long and didn't contact somebody. If you contacted somebody and their first inclination was to come over, go grab a weapon, and then go check the rest of the house, why the fuck didn't you call somebody prior to that morning? That's a problem for me. It's just a huge problem.
a knife is also a tool, just saying. But a tool to an open bedroom door where Zana is laying on the floor that's clearly visible from the staircase. The staircase hugs the outside wall. The hallway to Zana's bedroom is on the other side of the stair, immediately on the other side of the staircase. I mean, to me, that would be when I was drinking and partying, I probably would have fallen down them stairs several times thinking I was going to my room. Right? But so I don't understand. A knife is also a tool. No, it's not a tool. There's no sense. You can't make sense of what this kid did. What did they tell him that they told the police a different story?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to hear his testimony.
And why did Dylan find the need when you're making a call for a passed out roommate to bring the topic up that, can I tell you what happened around 4:00? Some man. See, those things don't work together.
Yeah.
All right. If we're talking about, a starter motor in your car, and then suddenly you want to bring up some kitchen appliance, I'll be like, what the fuck happened to Cletus? Someone hit him, quit hitting him in the head. It's starting to affect him.
I mean,
you can't have those two things.
at the same time, a lot of the things that I sit and think are wild to me, I can literally somewhat reason in my head by considering how many people I see walking into shit with their phone in their fucking head, in their hand, and their head down. A lot of people, especially in that age range, don't pay any fucking attention, or when they do, their response is to do the same thing that they do all day, every day, and that's sit and stare at a damn phone. Yeah. And it sounds like that's what they did. It doesn't answer all the questions I've got or solve the problem for me, but it is one reasonable explanation I can come up with and somewhat pacify myself with until we know more.
Well, look at the statement I highlighted. Personally, if I was called over for help, I would come armed. I would think most college-age young men have pocket knives. Well, when you're called because you're being told, or we're being told, that the prompting of your call was a passed out roommate, right? Here's the other problem with this is you already walked by and identified Zana on the floor.
Right.
So what the fuck are you calling other people over for? Why aren't you and Bethany going up there in the light of day? I can understand being paranoid or whatever. You're fucking drunk or you're high, you're taking whatever, and hiding in Bethany's room for a couple hours. But the minute the fucking light comes up, why are you calling or going to a neighbor when you could have simply walked to the top of the stairs and peeked around the fucking corner?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because the only real explanation is you thought somebody was there. But if you thought somebody was there, why the fuck didn't you call somebody prior to when you did?
What about the police? Why would you put another college student in jeopardy? I can understand you calling friends, but not calling the police in combination thereof doesn't fit.
Well, I could even understand calling friends if it had happened earlier.
if they'd have called at 4:30 in the morning.
Right. I can even
Yeah.
even understand that. But to wait as long as you did, obviously, unless something's changed, I think there's only like a 30-minute window we're aware of that exists with the information we've been given that there's no activity in, right? Because if I remember, the phone log showed activity between the two the entire morning except for like 30 minutes.
No, there was a 2.5 hour period they denied us. 2 hours and
2.5 hours.
Yeah. But
So-
there is activity there. Ann Taylor's come forward and said these two girls did not go to sleep and their activity was continuous
Well, then
all through the morning hours.
Then to me, that's that's a problem. That's a problem.
Yeah, Steve G's got no explanation. He's a liar. I mean, he sold us a bill of goods. And I don't think being told that a roommate is passed out, or I don't understand how Bethany and Dylan didn't themselves at 4:30 in the morning. After Dylan witnessed what she witnessed, they didn't creep back up to the stairs to double check. What the fuck did they talk about from the time Dylan got down there? And is Dylan going down those stairs the reason there's blood on the railing from the second to first floor? Did she pick it up off? Did she actually go in that room and confirm she was passed away? Did she pass a perp that she was familiar with and brush or touch or come in contact with? I mean, how the fuck did that blood on the railing come? Did a perp exit from the front and one exited from the back? There's so many things that should be asked. And that's the real conundrum here is that they withheld this data for 2+ years. And now you're looking at it and you're going, what the fuck? And you look at the girls' phone calls and you look at the girls' texting, and you look at what Dylan is claiming, and it just doesn't make any damn sense. And for 2 years plus, we've all been left to believe or think. We were told that they went to sleep. Dylan must have went to sleep. They went to bed.
So
we didn't know Dylan went from her room to Bethany's room. That's now we understand why in the beginning the cops said both girls were down on the first floor.
So here's the problem with the blood on the railing for me, I think, in terms of thinking about that in a trial, right? If they didn't test it, if they have no test results from it, but they know it was there, that information could only stand to benefit the defense. But the problem is it's a complete unknown other than the fact that it exists.
It's a male DNA sample. Unknown male.
They did test it.
Well, that's what we were told. And then someone just made another point in the chat room. I think there's more we don't have. I don't think Dylan's the reason for the blood on the railing and the handprint on Bethany's window. I don't see any documentation that there was a handprint on Bethany's window. I've not seen that, but sorry, Cletus. Yeah, I'm going to go back to say this. Look, and I don't really care. Steve G can hear this. I was right in the beginning that crime scene is intact. The 6 people in that home are the crime scene. 4 victims and 2 others. And the 2 others, prior knowledge, current knowledge, or participation must be considered real. There's no evidence, and they've already confirmed this. There's no evidence of forced entry. Did somebody let somebody in the house? That would make you a participant to the crime. Even if they came in the house with no idea that they were going to kill people, you were a participant. You were a party to that action by letting them in the home. How do you get blood going down that staircase or blood on glove outside the sliding glass door in the back? How do you get all of this shit all over the fucking place? And not consider that primary evidence for the investigation.
Well, how do you get blood on a glove, or how do you get blood on a staircase or on the handrail of a staircase that's between 2 floors, right? The second and the first, and then get blood on a glove outside the back door of the second floor? Because that would imply that you committed a crime to get the blood on the glove, then you went down to the first floor, then you went back to the second floor and went out.
Or you had more than one perpetrator.
Well,
she's described 2 people. She's described somebody in a mask all dressed in black. She's also described somebody with a vacuum cleaner or something on their back that made them look like a fireman.
Right.
And my understanding is that's where it's okay, I'm here to help comes from. That's a statement made to somebody that can understand it. You don't say to a body bleeding out on the floor that's been knifed to death, it's okay, I'm here to help. You say that to a live, interactive individual. Dylan, it's okay, I'm here to help. Did they clean? Is that crime scene, was it clean? Was things taken out of the home? We don't know, because Dylan told us some kind of convoluted, fucked up story.
Yeah.
Right? And these things are written in black and white. All of her statements, the timeline is based off of her and Dylan and Bethany's communication. That's no way to determine the time of those killings. You got a drunk fucking lunatic, according to her own words, texting somebody downstairs. So basically, she could have heard that at 1 o'clock in the morning, and just came to around 4 and started texting Bethany like it just happened. You follow me?
Yeah.
You can't verify anything this woman says. So why would you use that for that? Because then you start watching videos and you see what seems to be a car coming into that area full of apartments, full of college kids. But that car happens to be what you're going to accuse is the murderer came from that car, rather than looking for the car for what it most likely is, a delivery or an Uber or some kind of vehicle that should be in that area because it's doing some type of service.
Well, and I think one of the things that'll be real interesting to learn as well is going to be the phone activity for both Ethan and Zana, because in the PCA they gave a little bit of a hint about Zana's, and they did that, I think, to try to paint the narrative. But I think if there's more, that'll paint a clearer picture of what the situation was. You know what I mean? Because we still don't know what the hell was really going on in with her. And I think that data would be really important to the defense.
Well, look, maybe there's some saving grace in what they're hiding, but the sad part about everything that they hide is they've built these narratives that make it only possible for Brian to be the killer. And then hold back key information that now, when put forward, that was what I was going to do with the example of one person's reply in the chat room, is they're trying to justify Hunter going for a knife. And there's nothing in the narrative that any individual, for any reason at all, he had to have crossed that hallway and saw Heather saw Zana on the floor. She didn't get up and fucking move around. She was laying dead on the floor when Dylan saw her. If not dead, incapacitated to death, right?
Right.
So what the fuck caused Hunter to go across that hallway and go because he had to cross that. How could you not look down at it through an open door when your issue is a passed out Zana? And you pass the hallway, you don't look? Of course he did. And he ran to the fucking kitchen and got a knife? Why?
Right.
How do you have an interview and the cop focuses you in on the person's eyes? And the cop asks, did you see eyebrows? To a woman that's got walls covered in fucking eyes, eyebrows, and eyelashes. How do you bring that to her attention in the interview without her ever mentioning eyes? How is that okay? It's tragic what they've done to this. And if this guy did it, I still really don't give a shit if he did it or not. The process under which they're trying to convince the public he's the killer isn't evidentiary based at all. Suspect vehicle 1 is not Brian Koberger's car conclusively in their own affidavit. It clearly cannot be Brian's car, because the car that left WSU that they claim went towards Moscow is the car they try to reproduce and other images that they claim they successfully introduced. And that proves it can't be Brian, because Brian's car continued south. 2 vehicles left that fucking parking area. 2 vehicles left that school. And Brian's continued south for 7 more minutes connected to the network. And then it was handed off to another tower going south. So whatever the fuck they tracked coming out of WSU could not have been Brian Koberger. Their own documentation shows us this. And if I was the parent, none of this would have been ignored by me. I'd have been all up someone's ass over this. How can you keep telling us it's this guy when nothing you've shown us shows us it's this guy? How did you not check all the other DNA? How didn't you take those gloves you found? And if transfer DNA is your trick to go to fucking deal, why didn't you swab the fucking interior of the gloves for transfer DNA? right? You would have, I mean, a glove would have massive amounts of skin cells in there. How could you not pull an ID out of that, Cletus?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. And people want to argue. They follow these little stories. They want to talk about the coat the cop found the next day. That could be connected to the crime. A guy in the Banfield that only had on one glove, that guy could be involved. A guy at the grub truck, he could be involved. Tommy could have seen him reflect.
That's my problem with the blood on the handrail. It could be involved. It could also not. At the end of the day, when you get to the trial, what's the defense going to do? Well, but what about this? There was male DNA on the handrail. You can't present anything more than that other than a suspicion, right? So at that point, you know, it's as relevant in terms of evaluation as there was carpet on the fucking floor. Okay, what about it? You know, you can't prove anything with it. And it's like, it's one of those situations where you look at it and it's like, yeah, I mean, hopefully there's more data about it that makes it completely irrelevant or unimportant that we just don't know. But if not, then it's a fucking problem.
Yeah, everything in this case is a fucking problem. And it's been perpetuated. People, that's why I'm very animate that we need more focus on what our law enforcement and our prosecutors are doing, how our judges are doing, and we need to be more vocal. Because, you know, the whole basis of our justice system was, I'd rather see 100 guilty go free than an innocent man be imprisoned. From Ben Franklin. That was why we took English law and modified it. That was like probable cause isn't supposed to be a fucking diaper fucking wipe. There has to be something in your probable cause affidavit that makes it likely that the person committed this crime. Likely, not coulda, woulda, maybe, yeah, if this happened and that happened. No. You have to have something in a probable cause affidavit that makes it likely the accused is the individual that likely committed the crime. Meaning you have to have a witness or a solid piece of evidence. And they didn't use the DNA. So when you take the probable cause affidavit, Americans should be flipping out over that. There's not one single piece of evidence that places Brian near that home. There's guesses that when the guesses are actually analyzed scientifically, don't hold up. But shouldn't that scientific analysis have been done prior to applying for a warrant to arrest him for a quadruple homicide?
You would think so.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. People don't think, people don't want to understand that the process is a system and the system needs to be followed. And on Clue's benefit, I've been watching Perry Mason. You ever watch that show?
I think maybe way back in the day.
Yeah. But in the Perry Mason, man, most of the guilty killers are women. Every time I see that, I say, Clue is like this one. Yeah. Oh man, that's insane. Well, so your pool, when are you going to set up your bar? Are you still working, doing the same thing?
Yeah.
Oh, how's that going? Some of the stress gone, or?
Yeah, it comes and goes. It comes and goes.
Yeah, that's how it goes with work, right?
Yeah, and that's
Yeah,
it. Have you retired yet?
No, but I got a ton of work, man. I sold another big job like last year. And then I've got a number of. I just sold another one today. I mean, I did a local radio show, and I was the co-host rather than just a guest.
Yeah.
And a lot of the listeners called in and wanted me to stay as the co-host and not the co-host they had. People were calling in like, how come we don't use them? I'm not going to say, I don't want to give away my identity to my business, but yeah, even while I was there on station, you should be there every week. I'm like, well, it's not up to me.
Proof.
And the host says, yeah, you're quite entertaining. He says, well,
proof that there are parts of the United States that are filled with cocksuckers.
Who says that? Where'd that shit come from?
I
You
just
motherfucker. Unbelievable. What is Clue focused on? You still going after that ugly butthole Betty?
No, she's been off of Betty's ass for quite a while. She's been going after Brittany J for a hot minute because she decided to make Clue a fucking target of hers. So, yeah, she took enough from her and turned her attention to her.
Think of her life.
Yeah, really, it was.
Is she get in jail, or she got past all those criminal charges?
Betty?
Yeah.
So they had a grand jury for her 6 violations, and the grand jury was a no true bill for all 6 counts.
That's good.
She has appealed the I think the orders of protection altogether, and I don't know when that's going to be heard, but yeah, I mean, essentially, it doesn't look like she's going to jail, and yeah.
Well, see, justice does work, man.
Yeah.
You know, opinions are opinions, and the process is designed to
well, and I think you know, it's one of those things where we went to the hearing where they did, I guess you would call it a preliminary hearing. That's what they called it, and I think the problem was what happened was when the day the orders of protection were granted, she didn't show up, and she went live right at the ass end of the hearing, and she was talking mad shit on the judge, mad shit on Sumner County, mad shit on Chris and Katie. Then she gets in her car and she drives up here and she proceeds to do the same thing again. Well, the 6 violations came from those 2 live streams, and the problem is, in my opinion, it's if they would have waited and prosecuted her based on those 6 plus, say, the next 3 weeks worth of shit, they may have had an argument. But when they presented the 2 videos in court for the preliminary hearing, I watched them and I'm like, yeah, I don't even see that as a violation personally.
Right. Well, freedom of speech has a big latitude of what you can say and not say. And when people, like, I put myself out here in the public, right?
Yeah.
Anybody that comes out and does this and gets involved on the streams, you're putting yourself out there. So you're fair game to people's opinions, whether you don't have to like them, right?
Right. Yeah.
You don't cross the line and threaten them or you know, you don't do that. But my assessment of, for example, if I was to someone ask me, what do you think Steve G is doing? He's hiding. I think Steve G is hiding something that he doesn't want everybody to know about. And as long as someone's convicted, it'll go away. That's what I think's happening.
Well, and I think on
I'd
top
be wildly off base, but that's what it appears like he's doing.
On top of, you don't have to like it, I think probably the most important thing that anybody could put to work on the internet is you don't even have to fucking pay attention to it. Unless somebody's willing to come to you and criticize you personally, face to face, and critique you face to face, unless they're willing to bring it to you, why the fuck do you care? You know what I mean? Because if they're not going to invest enough time to come and talk to you about it, cuss you out, praise you, whatever the fuck it is, why pay attention to it? And I think
also the audience in general isn't really one that's going to affect your life. I mean, you could claim I defamed you, but I got 200 people in here. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I defamed you to who? You know, I mean, you got, even if you got 20,000 in your feed, defamed you to who? There's 8 fucking billion people on earth. Who did I defame you to? 2,000 people?
Yeah.
And it's not even defaming you. And I really, it's hard for me not to suspect the guy hiding something that he wants to keep quiet. I don't know what it is. I can't even imagine what it is. I'm not going to, guess at what it is, but same thing with Dylan. What is she hiding? And her own statements just make her, to me, contemptible. It's just how the state ran with her as a witness. I don't understand. It makes no fucking sense whatsoever. And they have the weakest case of all. And the argument of transfer DNA, well, nobody knows where that swab came from. They claim they swabbed a button snap of a knife. We don't even know if that button snap is brass or stainless steel. And if it's brass, then what does that say about the buccal swab?
Yeah, I think
How the fuck did the brass? How could you swab brass after 2 days? You just can't.
I think the biggest problem for me with the Idaho thing is, I mean, it's literally been going on for fucking, I mean, but it hell 2.5 years. It'll be 3 if
In November,
if
December,
it's even brought to a conclusion or a trial by then, right? And it's like I'm at the point and have been at the point for a long fucking time where it's like, let's just get it to the damn trial. And I
don't think it should go to trial. I think that his attorney needs to sit down, comb through all of the work that was done in Judge's courtroom, and show all of the things that were established to be lies, misrepresentations, and propaganda that were admitted to by the prosecution. For instance, Brett Payne, when asked, and all of the data that you collected, and all of the video and all the images that you collected, does any of that show Brian Kohlberger or Brian Kohlberger's car? No, man. Okay. Then what are we doing here? How about when Bill said, hey, he never stalked. Why are they putting that in the jury questionnaire? And now he's trying to go back to, with this judge, he's saying 23 times he was in Moscow. And in other words, making the implication he was stalking. And so my point is, Ann should get a list of all of that, all of the statements that have been made news, and all of the shit that Steve has said, and all of the shit that the government has said. All the data you're going to need to know that we got the right guy is in the PCA, and I urge everybody to study it. It'll be released as soon as the suspect is brought back to Idaho. Only now to find out it's irrelevant, he's not going to use it at trial. Only to find out that none of it places Brian in the home. So and that all the other DNA, if I were Ann, I would be going full bore to get this case dismissed in any way, shape, or form. And I would put Hitler through the process of looking at all of this. It's not just circumstantial. It's defamation. It's circumstantial bullshit. Because under no circumstances can you identify that car as being his. None. Other than him continuing to repeat to the public, this is his car. This is his car. Take those words out, and all you got is some fucking car driving around at night. Fair enough?
Yeah.
That's what I mean by our justice system is just so fucked up and so broke. And these people that are in there you guarantee you they're doing favors. Like in my town, a guy that was part of a town board that lost his seat and went back to being a private guy, he gets to buy a mall. And we got malls up in this motherfucker. Mall for 50 grand. If I'd have known that mall could have been bought for 50, 100, 200, I went and bought it myself. But they put it up on auction, tax auction, $2.6 million in unpaid taxes. Who thinks that you're going to go there and buy and this building, I'm telling you, it's elaborate, it's massive, it's beautiful, it's huge, oh my God. Who would have thought you could have went there and bought that for 50 grand? Right?
Yeah.
And yet, an ex-fucking town board member was able to do that. Our systems are corrupt. It's not just what people see on TV about the federal government. It's all throughout the nation. And these people need to be fucking held to account. And nobody seems to be interested in that. They just want to argue that, like there's a couple of people, Jeff and others, that are just, he's guilty, he's guilty, he's guilty. These guys, you could show them a fucking puppet and they would define how it connected to the crime. It's like, oh, so he played with sock puppets. That proves he's a mass murderer. I mean, okay. Holy fuck, Cletus. Anyway, otherwise, life is fantastic. I think it sounds pretty good for you two.
Yeah.
Did you get a wild fork order?
No, not yet.
All right, well, do yourself a favor. The last couple of orders I've got, I'm not so happy as I was in the beginning. Like, I got a ribeye from them, and I've never gotten a cut of meat that bad. In as much as the grizzle and the fat and what was edible from it, I had to turn it into from a dinner. I had to turn it into breakfast. Where you don't eat at breakfast, you have steak and eggs, right? And I had to saw through all of that, get all of that off it. I was very, very upset with that. And their prices have gone up. So I don't even know how price compatible they are to my local distributors.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, check your locals before you know, and bring them up on your phone while you're there. But they were selling T-bones for $11.98 a pound. That's a good deal. Now they're higher than that now. I don't know by how much, but I think quite a bit. So I was paying like $17 for 1.85 pounds. Now it's $22. That's a big difference. Is it still cheaper locally than local? I don't know. But that one steak and then something else I ate from there.
Well, here's the question: or do you still have to pay $3 for a bag of fucking chips at the corner store?
No, you know why? You know why I don't pay $3 for a bag of chips?
Why?
Because I buy the 40 count for it, $15.99. I get a box of 40 bags of chips for $15.99. Doritos, Ruffles, and Wise tater chips. I keep forgetting to buy dip. I need to get potato chip dip.
You sit around and eat one of those snack pack size fucking bags of potato chips with your fruit flavored soda.
Well, I'm drinking root beer tonight. Mug. I got the old mug going tonight. Yeah. Or I'll have a bowl of cereal.
Yeah.
You know, or I'll have I buy Oreos a 30. There's 6 Oreos per pack, 30 per box. So I end up like fucking 360 Oreo cookies. I buy a couple of boxes and I'll eat through those over the summer. And I still weigh after eating everything. I jumped on the scale before I came on the show, and I'm still 160 pounds.
You eat Fruity Pebbles or Fruit Loops or something, don't you?
No, I am a little fruity, and I probably got pebbles in my head, but no, I don't eat them. I never liked them. No, I eat Wheaties, and sometimes I get Captain Crunch because I want to chop my gums up. But other than that cereal's brutal, but it's almost like addictive.
Yeah.
It's like a test. And I told you I had 2 teeth changed, right?
Yeah.
So I've got the posts in. I got to go back Thursday because one of the gums got to be cut to let the post protrude. But other than that, everything is healing up perfectly. And it was one of the least painful. And they had to pull these teeth and then drill into the jaw and put the posts in it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that bad. Even the first night wasn't that bad as far as pain goes. It was I can't say it was enjoyable, but it didn't interrupt my sleep. And I'll tell you something else I found out too. I've been putting this off for a couple of years. So I had one tooth that was really bad. And that fucking thing was surrounded by infection. It didn't hurt. I didn't know.
Yeah.
But the minute these teeth came out and were replaced, I even feel 10 times healthier than I did before I had the procedure.
So in other words, what you're saying is that first night when you woke up the next morning, it wasn't as bad as the night you woke up with your thumb up your ass, right?
He jumped out. Did you guys see that? He jumped out because he don't have he's got Clue's really the balls in that relationship. And she don't even carry his in a change purse. She probably puts his nuts in one of those little $5 baggers for the weed. Yeah, teeth definitely affect your health. Yeah. I'm very happy with the progress and the process so far. I got 3 more I'm going to do on the other side once they install these teeth. Yeah. So far, I mean, I've got nothing to be concerned about from what, you know, I'll go to the dentist again Thursday. But I'm pretty psyched, man. Yeah, they stitched them closed and everything. So yeah, the process was much more I can say much more pleasant than I thought. That's not the right word, but it was. I'm not, in other words, the other 2 that I want to do, maybe even 3, I have no question. I'm all in for it. Shoot me fucking with Novocaine and give me my teeth. And like I said, the one I had to change, these other ones, they had root canals, and the root canals failed. Right? So that's why I'm in this process. And thank God it's none of my front teeth, top or bottom. I even with the tooth replacement process, I still have a smile. So yeah. Pretty good as far as I can tell. All right, folks. Well, it's been a nice hour and a half. See Wyatt. I think this could go all the way to the Supreme Court. I don't think it'd ever make it to the Supreme Court. I think an appellate court would throw this right out. I don't think this will get past an appellate court. The process under which they're prosecuting this guy is just show me some evidence, man. No, my whole process to do, originally it was 5 teeth. I'm not sure they're going to be able to do the 5th tooth, to be honest with you. Because it's been missing for so long and it's a back molar that I think the bone has kind of gone down enough where you're not going to fuck with that. But so my whole process is going to cost me, with the 5 teeth, they wanted $10,900 and something, and then they gave me 20% off. They gave me 20% off. So we'll say like $8,500 for 5 teeth, and I'm only going to need 4. So the first 2 were $4,500, including the post and including the tooth itself and including the surgery to pull 2 teeth and stitch the gums and drill the holes and put in the fucking the implant. All of that stuff came to those 2 $4,500, and the other 2 will probably come to the same. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I think mine's going to end up being under $2,500 a tooth. Howard Blum, lowest of the lowest. They know people rely on their damn face. Yeah, well, I'll be pretty content once this is all done. Then I can live out the remainder of my years with a nice smile, and I'll be able to eat all this. And I never stopped eating steak anyway. I had what did I have today? Although today I broke my normal tradition. And for the first time in probably 6 months, I went to McDonald's and I had a sausage McMuffin with egg and no cheese. I love them fucking things. So thanks for coming in, everyone. It's been a good night. And I just wish Steve would just calm the fuck down, stop trying to destroy the guy, and verify shit before you come out on the internet and make statements to impugn the man. We all want whoever did this to your children over there to be held to account and executed as that law allows. However, I think the process to get to the point of executing another human being has to be sound, has to be unquestionable, and well beyond a reasonable doubt. So, everyone have a good night. We'll talk with you again, and thanks for showing up.